All right, shalom, family. Peace and blessings to the elect scattered to the four quarters of the earth. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak, Yahweh Shai. All right, all praises to the Most High. We're going to get to real quick and real easy the four types of sellouts that exist in the so-called black community among our people. Those sellouts. We're going to get to them real quick and easy. This video is brought to us by Black Stories Untold, the four types of black or so-called black sellouts. All right, here we go.
100 years, white racists have weaponized our own people against us. And today, I'm breaking down the four types of black betrayal that keep us shackled. Level 1, the house slave. Meet Steven, the house slave who loves his chains so much, he'll kill to keep them on. This ain't just a movie character, y'all. This is the blueprint for the most toxic black person in America.
That's who the hell you calling Snowball, hoss boy? I'll snatch your black off that man down here in the mud so fast, make your head.
Steven.
See, Steven don't just serve white people. He is a white racist in black skin. He's so deep in Stockholm Syndrome that he fears freedom more than bondage. Why? Because oppression is all he's ever known, and he's convinced himself that his survival depends on keeping happy. In Django Unchained, Steven isn't just a servant, he's the enforcer. When Broomhilda tries to escape, who punishes her? Steven. When Django arrives as a free man, who's most threatened? Steven. This man has so internalized his oppression that he sees other black people's freedom as a personal attack on his identity. Sound familiar? That's Uncle Ruckus, the cartoon version of what's very real in our community. These are the black folks who will police you for being too black, who mock our culture to get white folks to pat them on the head and say, "You're one of the good ones." But this isn't just comedy, people. This is psychological warfare. The house slave mentality runs so deep that these individuals will literally work against their own people's interests to maintain their position in the white power structure. Herschel Walker literally said, "Black families don't need fathers because we had strong women." This man was so desperate for white Republican approval that he threw his own people under the bus on national television. He painted black fathers as dispensable while running for Senate in Georgia, the same state where his own father abandoned him. But here's where it gets really sick. Walker wasn't just talking to white Republicans. He was talking to black mothers, telling them they should be grateful to struggle alone. He was telling black children that they don't deserve fathers. Also, he could get a pat on the head from people who will never truly accept him. The house slave doesn't just hurt us through their actions. They poison our minds with self-hatred. They teach our children that being black is something to overcome, not something to celebrate. They turn our survival mechanisms into weapons against ourselves. Here's what makes the house slaves so dangerous. They convince white people that racism isn't the problem. We are. They give oppressors permission to keep oppressing because, see, even they agree with us. Remember, Steven wasn't just loyal to Calvin Candy. He was more racist than his master. When the house exploded at the end of Django, it wasn't just a building burning down. It was the destruction of an entire system that depended on black people policing other black people. And that's why this mentality is the foundation of all the other levels. Every other type of black betrayal starts with this basic premise, that white approval is more valuable than black liberation. Before we get to the next level, if you're learning something from this breakdown, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for Black Stories Untold. We're out here telling the stories they don't want you to hear, exposing the systems they don't want you to understand. Your support keeps us free to speak these truths. Level 2, the assimilationist celebrity. I'm not black, I'm OJ. These people perfected the art of racial amnesia. They got so comfortable in white spaces that they forgot where they came from. Or worse, they remember, but they're ashamed of it. The assimilationist celebrity plays a different game than the house slave. They don't attack us directly, they just disappear us. They code switch so hard, they develop split personalities. Around white folks? Oh, I don't really see color. But the moment they need us for damage control, suddenly they remember they're black. Tiger Woods literally created a whole new racial category, Cablinasian. to avoid being called black. This man was so uncomfortable with his African heritage that he invented a word to escape it. But when his career imploded and he needed redemption, suddenly, black people were supposed to support him because we're family. O.J. Simpson spent decades distancing himself from the black community. He lived in white neighborhoods, dated white women, and famously said, "I'm not black, I'm O.J." But when he was on trial for homicide, who did his lawyers appeal to? Black jurors who remembered how white America had treated black men in the justice system. Remember when Michael Jordan said, "Republicans buy sneakers too," when asked to support Harvey Gantt, a black Democrat running against Jesse Helms, one of the most racist senators in modern history? That's the assimilationist playbook. Stay profitable, stay safe, stay silent. These celebrities think they can buy their way out of blackness. They move to the whitest neighborhoods, send their kids to the whitest schools, marry white spouses, and raise children who don't know they're black until the world reminds them. And when racism smacks them in the face, and it always does, they're shocked. But here's the real damage. They sell our young people a lie. They make kids believe that if you just work hard enough, speak white enough, dress right enough, you can escape racism. They teach our children that being authentically black is a limitation, not a source of power. Think about how many young black athletes and entertainers have followed this blueprint. They sanitize their image, avoid controversial topics like police brutality or systemic racism, and present themselves as safe for white consumption. They become brands, not people, products, not advocates. The assimilationist celebrity is dangerous because they don't just betray us, they make betrayal look aspirational. They turn sellout behavior into success goals. They teach our children that the price of admission to white spaces is the abandonment of black identity. And when the next generation of black celebrities follows their lead, staying silent while their people suffer, who do you think they're modeling themselves after? The cycle continues, and our voices get quieter and quieter in the spaces where they need to be loudest. But here's where it gets even more dangerous. What happens when these sellouts don't just stay silent, but actively become the mouthpiece for our oppression? Level 3, the puppet politician. Systemic racism doesn't exist in America. This is Candace Owens. This is Clarence Thomas. This is Tim Scott, telling us America isn't a racist country. These are the most dangerous black people in America today. Why? Because they don't just abandon us, they lead the charge against us. They become the black face of white racism, giving oppressive policies a chocolate coating so they go down easier. Clarence Thomas sits on the highest court in the land and systematically dismantles every protection our ancestors died for. Affirmative action? Gone. Voting rights? Gutted. Civil rights protections? Weakened. And he does it with a smile, knowing damn well he wouldn't be where he is without the very programs he's destroying. Let's be real about Thomas for a minute. This man was accused of physical harassment by Anita Hill, a black woman who put her career on the line to tell the truth. And how did he respond? He called it a high-tech lynching, using the language of black oppression to defend himself while throwing a black woman under the bus. Then, he spent the next 30 years on the court, making sure other black people couldn't access the opportunities that got him there. Thomas's wife, Jenny, was actively working to overturn the 2020 election results, and Thomas refused to recuse himself from cases involving January 6th. This man has so little regard for justice that he'll corrupt the highest court in the land to serve white political interests. But Thomas operates in the shadows. Candace Owens? She's out here making anti-blackness into a full-time career. Owens tours college campuses telling young white kids that racism is over, that black people are just making excuses, that slavery was actually beneficial because it brought Africans to America. She's turned hatred of her own people into a brand, a multimedia empire, a whole damn industry. She literally said that if he had just stayed in Germany, he would have been fine, because she was so desperate to own the libs that she lost her damn mind. But here's the thing, that wasn't a mistake. That's who she is. Someone so consumed with anti-black ideology that she'll defend him to make a point against black progress. And look at these audiences when she speaks. You see the joy on these white faces? They finally found black people who will say what they've always wanted to say. See? They said it, not us. We're not racist. We're just agreeing with the black lady. But if you want to see the ultimate puppet show, let's talk about Kanye West. This man went from George Bush doesn't care about black people to walking around in White Lives Matter shirts with Candace Owens, like some kind of minstrel show. Kanye had the audacity to say that 400 years of slavery sounds like a choice. This man really sat on TMZ and told the world that our ancestors chose to be kidnapped from Africa, chose to be chained in slave ships, chose to be beaten, assaulted, and systematically subdued for 4 centuries. You know what that was? That was Kanye telling white people exactly what they wanted to hear. That slavery wasn't that bad, that black people are responsible for their own oppression, that racism is just a mindset we can choose to overcome. And when he got called out for it, what did he do? Doubled down. Started hanging out with Candace Owens, wearing MAGA hats, meeting with Trump in the Oval Office, grinning like a damn fool while the president used him as a prop. Then this man had the nerve to go full anti-Semite, talking about going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. You see what happened? He went so far down the white elite rabbit hole that he started parroting their conspiracy theories. And suddenly, all those white Republicans who were using him as their token black friend dropped him like a hot potato. But here's what really pisses me off about Kanye. He had everything: platform, influence, money, respect. He could have used his voice to speak truth to power. Instead, he used it to give white racists exactly what they wanted. A black man saying that black oppression is our own fault. Kanye represents the puppet politician at its most pathetic. Someone so desperate for white acceptance that they'll say anything, believe anything, do anything to get that approval. And when the approval runs out, they're left with nothing but the damage they've done to their own people. Tim Scott ran for president on the platform that America is not a racist country, while living in a country where black people are killed by police at 3 times the rate of white people. This man said welfare was worse for black people than slavery. He compared government assistance to the kidnapping and death of millions of African people. But here's what makes the puppet politicians so insidious. They don't just speak to white people, they speak to confused black people too. They tell working class black folks that their struggles are their own fault. They tell black women that feminism is their enemy. They tell black men that white racism is actually black people's fault. This is the puppet politician's function: to be the ventriloquist dummy for white racism. They don't just harm us through silence, like the assimilationist. They actively recruit others to harm us. They give white America moral permission to continue oppressing us while convincing some of us that oppression is actually freedom. The puppet politician is the most dangerous because they have power, platform, and purpose. They're not confused like the assimilationist or broken like the house slave. They're strategic. They know exactly what they're doing, and they're getting paid well to do it. But here's the thing that really gets me. Sometimes the most dangerous betrayal comes from people who genuinely think they're helping us. Level 4. The tragic compromiser. Meet Booker T. Washington, the man who told black people to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, while white folks were cutting the straps. Now, before y'all come for me in the comments, I get it. Booker T lived in a different time. Jim Crow was in full swing. Lynching was a weekend hobby for white folks, and this man was trying to keep us alive. But when he gave that Atlanta Compromise speech in 1895, telling black people to focus on vocational training instead of demanding civil rights, he gave white racists exactly what they wanted: our permission to wait. Cast down your bucket where you are, he said. Accept segregation. Focus on economic development, not political rights. Prove you deserve equality instead of demanding what's already yours. Sound familiar? That's respectability politics, and it's still killing us today. Washington believed that if black people just worked hard enough, were respectable enough, contributed enough to the economy, white people would eventually accept us as equals. He was wrong, dead wrong. All his compromising did was give white racists moral cover to continue oppressing us while pointing to his words as proof that even we agreed with their system. While Washington was teaching black people to be patient, white folks were lynching us at record rates. While he was promoting vocational training, they were burning down Black Wall Street. While he was preaching accommodation, they were passing laws to strip us of the vote. His strategy of appeasement didn't stop the terror, it enabled it. But here's what makes this tragic. Washington genuinely loved black people. He built Tuskegee Institute, educated thousands of our people, and fought for economic advancement. His intentions were pure, but good intentions paved with black bodies still lead to hell. Today's respectable compromisers follow the same playbook. They tell us to vote our way out of oppression, to work within systems designed to destroy us, to be twice as good for half as much. They preach the politics of respectability while our people are killed in broad daylight. You know them, the leaders who say we need to build bridges with people who want to build walls around us. The preachers who tell us to turn the other cheek while bullets are flying. They mean well, but good intentions don't stop police bullets. They mean well, but patience doesn't pay rent. They mean well, but respectability doesn't resurrect the dead. Here's what makes this the most tragic level. These people genuinely love us. They're not seeking white approval like the others. They're trying to protect us, but their fear makes them accept crumbs and call it progress. They tell us to wait for the right time, the right candidate, the right moment. Meanwhile, we're dying in the streets, in prisons, in poverty. How long are we supposed to wait for freedom? How long are we supposed to prove we deserve what's already ours? The respectable compromiser isn't evil. They're just scared. Scared of white backlash. Scared of losing what little progress we've made. Scared that if we push too hard, too fast, white people will take everything away. But here's what they don't understand. White people never gave us anything out of kindness. Every right we have, we fought for. Every law that protects us, we bled for. Every step forward, we took by force, not by asking nicely. The compromiser believes in the myth of gradual progress, the lie that justice delayed is not justice denied. They think racism will fade away if we just give it enough time, enough patience, enough good behavior. But racism isn't a misunderstanding, it's a system. And systems don't reform themselves out of the goodness of their hearts. They change when they're forced to change. Here's what connects all four levels. They all serve the same master. Whether it's through active betrayal, silent complicity, political puppetry, or respectability politics, they all keep white racism alive. The house slave convinces white folks they're good masters. The assimilationist convinces us we can escape. The puppet politician gives racism a black face. And the respectable compromiser tells us to be patient with our own oppression. But here's what they don't want you to know. Every single one of these archetypes exists because white racism needs them. They're not aberrations, they're features of the system. The house slave provides psychological cover. See, even they like being enslaved. The assimilationist provides false hope. If you just try hard enough, you can make it too. The puppet politician provides political cover. It's not racism when a black person says it, and the compromiser provides moral cover. Even their own leaders say they should wait. Together, these four types create a complete ecosystem of black subjugation. They handle different aspects of the psychological, political, and social work needed to maintain white dominance. But here's the real tragedy. Many of these people could have been freedom fighters. The House intelligence could have been used to organize resistance. The assimilationist platform could have been used to advocate for justice. The puppet politician's power could have been used to advance our interests. The compromiser's love could have been channeled into revolutionary action. Instead, white racism captured their talents and turned them against us. That's the real genius of this system. It doesn't just oppress us with external force, it recruits us to oppress ourselves. So the next time you see a black person tap dancing for white approval, ask yourself, which level are they on? Because until we recognize these patterns, until we call out these sellouts, until we stop making excuses for people who harm us in the name of helping us, we'll never be free. Drop a comment and tell me, which type do you think is the most dangerous? Which ones have you encountered in your own life? And most importantly, what are we going to do about it? Because our liberation depends on it. And liberation doesn't come from compromise, assimilation, or puppet shows. It comes from the courage to name our enemies, even when they look like us. The revolution starts when we stop accepting betrayal as strategy, when we stop calling sellouts leaders, When we stop waiting for permission to be free, the question is, are you ready to stop waiting?
Wow, that was a dope and insightful video with a lot of profound information. And I think he hit the nail on the head. I think it was pretty well spot on. Uh, Everything he brought out, up and down, straight up. I mean, from the levels that he talked about to, uh, getting the understanding. So these are our internal enemies. Now, thankfully, our internal enemies can still repent and turn back to the Most High. These are the ones that we should pray for. We don't pray for our adversaries, those who are oppressing us. We pray for our brothers, those who are operating in a preserve, trying to save uh, the captivity or trying to save us from the captor. Those we can pray for and those we can hope to bring to our side, but not the oppressor. Certainly not the actual oppressor. All praises to the Most High. That was a magnificent, uh, right on time piece of insightful information. I'm going to go ahead and close it on out. It's late. As y'all can see, I'm barely able to talk. And a matter of fact, I'm just going to give all praises, honor, and great esteem to the Most High, Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak, Yahweh Shah, and to the 12 tribes who are scattered to the four quarters of the earth. Peace and blessings. And I'm going to go ahead and do it right. We do this for a specific purpose. Romans chapter 10 and verse 1, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Ha'abba for Israel is that they might be saved. We want to see our people saved and set free. We want to see our people restored and return to prominence. How are we going to do it? First, we're going to keep the faith and the belief in Hamashiach and his return and his restoration of us, his people, Israel. Not the nations, not the heathen, Israel. All right. So keeping that. Also, Ecclesiastes chapter number 12 and verse number 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. It is so very important to understand that in the conclusion of the whole matter, we are to fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. At the end of the day, when it is all said and done, all the dust is settled, and all the smoke is cleared, we will be judged. Or rather, we have feared the Most High and kept his commandments. Why? Because this is the whole duty of man. I am, once again, your Akazaki Yahoo, giving all praises, honor, and great esteem unto the Most High Power, Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak, Yahweh Shai, to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered to the four quarters of the earth. I say Shalom, Wa Baruchim, that is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait to the day when the Most High brings us back together, gathers us again, brings us back into our own land, and we are recognized as once again the 12 tribes of Israel, who was once scattered and who has been gathered, and who has been restored, and who has been redeemed, and who has been set free, and who has been given power in all the earth. For the earth belongs to Yahweh, but he made the earth for the sake of Israel. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bashem Hamashiach, Wamalak, Yahweh Shai. Until next time, Israel. Shalom. Praises to the Abba.